Welcome back to the PowderKeg Podcast, your favorite transatlantic Chargers podcast. I'm Kyle D, your host and armchair GM, and as always, I've got Coach Ryan with me, ready to dial in your X's and O's. It's been a whole week since the Chargers' Thursday night beatdown of the Minnesota Vikings, but we're still amped from it and ready to roll into the next challenge. Ryan, how you feeling, buddy?
I mean, it's felt like a very long week. It's a great thing for the players. They get nice, like the mini bye and nice reset. But I miss Charger football already, man. Like that was a fantastic game for us. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. It's good talking some football. Get my eyes off the Dodgers and the World Series. I know a lot of our fans are having a great time and watching that. I know Dean Spanos and Justin Herbert were actually at the game, so that's cool. So some of my Charger friends that are also Dodgers fans, I'll be gently ribbing. But yeah, it's fun to talk football and the things that we all agree on and love right now. So let's get right into it, man. We've got some injuries to catch up on. Most of them, all of them, seem minor. Tarheeb still should be out a few weeks, and the length of the injury list, we won't go down everybody, but we got four other DBs carrying some sort of nagging injury. But the good news amongst this list is that Dean Leonard is practicing again. So hey, an upgrade for special teams with him, doing what he does. Why don't you cover that for us, Ryan? What do you think about Dean Leonard coming back?
I mean, I actually went back and watched some film on special teams from last year to try and understand what the difference is. I'm not a special teams coach. I did it for like 15 minutes, and it is an entirely different sport. I will tell you that. It's completely unhinged compared to how different it is for us on defense or offense. But yeah, Ryan Ficking will have missed him because Leonard was a fantastic gunner. Last season when he was healthy, these hamstring injuries keep coming back to haunt him. So I'm hoping he is over it and he's addressed it properly and with a good long time off. Because, yeah, we found it tough to replace him.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy with, how he and Harris were just like, Ja'Sir Taylor, not Harris. Ja'Sir Taylor were like the guys for a bit, and just one of them going down. All of a sudden, it seemed like we had a much harder time replacing him. We didn't think it would be as catastrophic as it was, but special teams has dropped off, and we felt it. So it's one little thing. Hopefully, with him back, the unit as a whole is playing better, but we'll see how it goes. We still need to work on our long snapping, apparently.
But you just said Josh Harris, he's practicing for the first time. He's in limited practice. I don't know what a long snapper does in limited practice versus first team practice, I have to say. What difference is there for a long snapper?
Every practice for a long snapper is limited.
That's what I'm saying.
David Binn taught us that. He would come in wearing his golf slacks to throw a couple snaps and then bail, and then would go on dates with Pamela Anderson. The man was a legend, but that's for another day. That guy was unreal, and now he's a volunteer fireman. Like, there's one guy that should be everyone's hero. It's David Binn. Yeah. So one thing I want to go over before our game review, Ryan, is I know a lot of people are getting confused with what they're seeing on Twitter regarding our cap space. The Chargers went from being, top dog with cap available at the beginning of the offseason. Then we didn't sign anybody, it seemed like. That's what everyone kept telling us. We have all this money, but we're not spending it. And now we're tanked right at the bottom with right about $2.5 million. And if you want a really good breakdown on how that works and how they allocate these funds and where some of that money's gone, why $2.5 million isn't as low as it might actually seem. At Stormcloud, we have one of our members, Tao, who is doing a great job tracking that right now. And the big takeaway that fans should know as we discuss this is because we're at $2.5 million doesn't mean that, that's going to keep dwindling down as the season goes on. We might actually increase our cap because one of the driving factors that has brought that space down is guys ending up on the IR. Because when we move them to the IR, we don't get any cap relief for that. We have to pay their weekly game paychecks. We get no relief in that sense. And then we have to fill their spot on the active roster with somebody that's at least on a minimum deal. So they get these roster fill-ins get added. The IR spot is still taken away from our cap. As those guys return off the IR, they'll push that person that was added with a non-guaranteed, normally minimum salary. They'll be bumped off. So as somebody like Harris comes back onto the roster, you might see that long snapper get cut and we'll gain like $500,000 in cap space from that or something like that. And those will keep happening. What was that?
Rick Lovato. And because it works as the top 50. It's top 50, top 51 or something like that. And then everyone below that doesn't count.
It depends on what you're looking at. The NFLPA releases updated official cap numbers. And I don't know if Tao is using those or not. I think he's going off of Spot Rack and Over the Cap. And they do go off the top 51, correct. But the NFLPA goes off the top 53, and they'll release those numbers. This is my understanding. Could be wrong there, but that's what I understand. That's what I believe. But they often lag on how quickly they get those out. They're normally a couple weeks behind. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at, Ryan. I know going into really training camp, you were very adamant that saying like, man, why there's no competitive advantages to not spending all this cap space we have. I wish we had been more aggressive in signing some of these guys. I do not want to see us roll over 20 or 30 million. And I kept trying to kind of explaining like, I don't think we're going to get there. We might roll over like 10 was kind of my gut. And now we're like even way below that because that Owe trade took away like 6 or 7 million on its own because we only Alohi only had like 3.5 million in base salary or something like that this year. I forget what it was, but Owe has like 9.5 million. So there's like a delta of 6 million in onboarding him. So what do you think now that you've seen all of this play out to where we had a bunch of money, we have no money now, and if you thought the strategy is kind of correct, or if you still feel the way you did, that we should have been more aggressive and spent more earlier?
Oh, yeah, you know this is a loaded question. I've been a rich man, I've been a poor man. I know which one I'd rather be, and no, genuinely, I've done a complete 180 on free agency. No competitive advantage. It was me thinking singularly at this season when we lacked options at certain positions, but what I've realized is look at every single big spending free agency group, like per team. So in my mind goes straight away back to that stupid spending spree the Patriots did in 2021 when they took Hunter Henry from us. Then Panthers 2 years ago, Texans last year, Vikings this year, Titans this year. Every single one of them's fallen flat on their ass. It's actually pretty like weird how it's just like. It's the meme from Arrested Development, isn't it? Where it's just like, hey, this has failed for everyone, but it could work for us. I can't remember the guy's name now. It's going to really annoy me. But yeah, I mean, you're
bias.
Oh,
right?
Thank you. Yes. So yeah, it creates more issues than it solves, and that Ortiz is a far better GM than I could ever be because of things. But in this case, it's because he's understood the market well, in my opinion, even if he's failed to address certain positions that we all know and we have all recognized. And I think he would recognize that. But yeah, I mean, you're the man for this situation. Why don't you talk us through? Like, does that have a history? Am I right?
Yeah, I think you're correct, Ryan. I just going back to the Patriots trade, that spending, they didn't only sign Hunter Henry either. They also signed Jonnu Smith. Like they went big on 2 tight ends. It was hilarious.
Was it? But, yes, yeah. And then they had Austin Hooper the year after that as well, like, or the year before, can't remember.
Going nuts, man.
Yeah.
But so I like that you're giving Ortiz his flowers, and I think it's badass that you can also say, no, I was wrong about something. I've changed my mind.
It happens.
Look at that, man. That's good. That might also be why we don't take off and are super successful as a podcast, because apparently to really get there, you got to be like Acho or whatever and just absolutely refuse to admit when you're wrong and just keep digging your heels in.
My wife, just before
I like what it says for us as people.
Just before we started recording, my wife said to me, she's like, you ever thought about saying something just really outlandish just to see if you can pump up those subscriber numbers and I can retire?
It'll be 2026. We'll start getting weird.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have 2 girls at that point. We'll need to turn this thing into a moneymaker. So we'll just start getting weird. But I'm still torn on it because I was kind of saying this at the time, Ryan. I kept saying, hey, just let the whole thing play out. This is Free agency is just one small piece, and he could make a trade tomorrow, which I think the Owe trade fills that gap. But he could make a trade tomorrow that takes some of that cap away that we need or that we have right now. And we'll be grateful that we didn't spend it because it might address a need in a better way than we could have imagined prior. But what I'll still say that I still feel strongly about is that if you gave Joe Ortiz truth serum, he would tell you that he missed the mark this offseason. I think the way that he did spend hurt us in that we missed the boat with comp picks and we didn't add enough that would fill enough holes in this coming year that would prevent us from having to spend again, because we're in this boat again where we're going to have all this money and we're going to be faced with the challenge of spending it smartly in a way that will hopefully fill some holes. But as we've seen, he's not going to want to commit too much, and we won't be getting comp picks again because of it. So what is that going to look like? What is that going to mean? And I think it's just a 1 or 2 year problem until Joe Alt is starting to look in at extension. Ladd McConkey, a lot of these guys, we've really hit on our draft classes in the last couple of years. And a lot of these guys that are on rookie deals are going to get paid. So I think we only have 1 or 2 more years where this is going to be a thing. That's where I wish we planned a little bit better. Just instead of having to spend cap next year, even if a guy like Will Fries isn't a standout guard, I would have rather them go for the more expensive guy, even if we had to cut him in 3 years, just to kind of get that money off the books and solidify one guard spot instead of spending $10 million a year on Mekhi Becton, who's unable to get on the field, which wasn't a surprise, right? This is something that he is who he has been his whole career outside of one freakish stint with the Eagles. So that's where I'm kind of at with it, Ryan. I still think Ortiz had a learning moment in the offseason, and I think it's one that he will address differently this year, and it'll be very interesting to see how he does that. Because, I mean, to ask you this question, what would you rather have right now? Mekhi Becton, Dante Jackson, and Najee Harris, or like take that collection of 3 players, or in 2026, 2 5ths and a 6th round pick extra, because that's what we gave up signing those guys.
I'd have the players we have. I have to say, because I think that Dante Jackson's really giving us something else that we needed. So this is the thing: is there's two sides to these decisions. And for example, the one thing I was going to bring up, which you've definitely read it in the notes, and that's why I'm smiling, is that instead of in place of the expensive free agents, we've been able to get the rookies on the field playing real football, and they've had the chance to impress. If you had those expensive free agents, so for example, we said in our analysis that we wanted to look at Milton Williams, Cooper Kupp, and Evan Ingram, we wouldn't have had Jamari Caldwell, Trey Harris, or Randy Gadsden Jr. or the second, don't know how he prefers it, stepping onto the field so early on and impressing so early, because then it can set up your strategy going over the next few years and getting towards their extensions. We wouldn't know that this is what we had waiting for us, and the draft strategy changes, like you said, is one piece of the puzzle. So I think Ortiz has made mistakes, evidently, looking at the interior defensive line, not doing his due diligence on Becton's actual, health, mental or physical. So it's hard. It's hard to establish this after the fact. It's hard to predict it happening. It's only in the moment you can really start to picture and put it all together, and you need insight to get that. So, we're just mere fans sitting here criticizing and praising at the same time.
Yeah, and Ryan, the other thing you brought up, that the Vikings were one of the teams that really spent heavy. They signed all the guys that we wanted. We were all joking, like not just you and I, but like Chargers Twitter as a whole was like, man, they got the center we wanted, the guard we wanted, the defensive tackles we wanted. They committed $215 million in one offseason. $215, man. Yeah. Ridiculous. Spent big. $100 million fully guaranteed at signing over just 15 players. So they went big. And
big and long.
That is big and long, and it's going to be an issue for them for the next couple years if these guys don't pan out. And it also kind of shows when you have a quarterback on his rookie deal, if he's not the quarterback, going on these spending sprees might actually hurt you in the long run.
Really?
Might put you in purgatory for a little bit. But yeah, so we could shelf that for now. I think that could be a good bi-week conversation for you and I to have, Ryan. Kind of do a whole breakdown of the off season again and where we are at up until this point, and then start projecting a little bit into next year, since we'll have that week to talk about whatever the heck we want. But let's go ahead and start diving into our review of last week, Ryan. Let's pop on over to the Vikings review. Take it away, brother.
I mean, I have to say that I came away from the film. So first of all, the film, I'm not going to talk about too much of the defensive side of the ball. We were solid. Minter had some. I go through my Twitter. I went through and did a little breakdown of a lot of concepts he did. He was more aggressive. It was fantastic. He did not let them get back in the game by any means. With Justin Jefferson on the field, sometimes they get miracles. He didn't let them. That's all I'll say, because it was Carson Wentz on the other side of it. Anyway, so don't really need to get into that. It was still so impressive of what the offense did to what was, as many have pointed out before that day, a top 10 defense. Brian Flores leads a really complicated scheme. It makes life hard for the quarterback and for the linemen, the receivers, hard to read. They don't know where to sit down their routes, and yet we excelled. And the biggest reason for that is, as I highlighted in my article on Stormcloud this week, the change between going from a gap scheme, gun-operated gap scheme run game out of 11 and 21 personnel into something which is what I was really impressed that he's gone with a under center splice action. When I say splice, it's kind of like a zone, but it's a little bit different. So the line will go one way, and then the ends, so the tight ends on the wings or the fullbacks will go the opposite way, or a man in motion, Trey Harris, for example, will go hit the other side, then splice away, and then leave you with a nice clean gap at the middle. It's really not what Roman has done throughout his career. He's been a B gap guy. He's never gone A gap. And you'd even think that whenever you see those little maps where you see, oh, if we run either side of the tackles, we have nice success rate. Well, what's that in the middle? A big, fat, red nothing of Bradley Bozeman normally operating. That was not the case. I have to say, the interior played much better. It's weird because none of these blocks are really, you watch them, none of these blocks are landing cleanly. But I think just like the collective drive just throws people off. Like I actually, yeah. So the nose tackle for the Vikings, Levi Rodriguez. Weirdly enough, I went out drinking with him when he came over in London. Bumped into him at a bar near my house, not even in central London. Turns out they were staying down the road, and he's a really awesome dude. But Bradley Bozeman and the Brady bunch kicked his ass. So I was like, oh, sorry, man. I'm not even going to shout you out on Twitter now. I'm like, you got destroyed.
I think international waters, the separation between us, Ryan, protects you. So I'm going to go ahead and out you. Ryan was trying to insider trade with Alistair and I during that, or all the TDU boys. He was like, hey, you guys got to take the Browns. I'm out here drinking with the Vikings right now, and they're getting hammered. It's hilarious.
They were like, we have a team meeting at 10 to 8. And I was like, guys, it's like 6:30, and you're not close to where you're going back to. And they were like, we're just going to finish these
Did you bet? Did you actually bet?
I have a prediction pool thing, and I put the Browns to win in there. But I had the Browns to cover, and I think they just missed it. So I was annoyed. But definitely insider trading. Anyway, Greg Roman attacked what they were, and by the way, there was nothing on tape that said that for me anyway. They said the Vikings were weak in that area. If anything, I thought Levi and his buddies were playing pretty well at the middle. They had that Redmond guy, number 61. I've never seen a defensive lineman wear 60 numbers before. But to do that, to change from a gun run into the splice action under center in a short week cannot be understated how difficult that is. So credit to Roman, credit to all the offensive players. They were firing off the ball too. It was really cool to see.
I love it.
Macro view of the schematics of the offense anyway.
Gotcha. So overall, the offensive line's performance, you were saying that you were kind of pleased with it, even though they weren't dominant. They did their assignments. What did you see from Bozeman specifically that you liked? What'd you think about Bobby Hart potentially getting the start over Pipkins? It looks like, is Pipkins out? What are we looking at here?
I mean, I'll start on that front. I genuinely think so. Hart has won the starting job. They said it was to do with injury, but if you can come in at the end of a game, you know, to
Makes no
take,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't add up to me. That's just trying to soft bench a guy. But the thing with Bobby Hart is he hasn't quite got the gait to get back and like really hit those really deep drops with really wide rushes. But he moves just a lot smoother in between those. And he has actually quite a nice run blocking gait. He gets his feet under him. They're short stepping. They're powerful little choppy steps. So as long as we get him that chip from the running backs or a tight end or the wing, I think he can play right tackle to the degree that we may need him to for now. So I don't think he's going to be the man of the future, you know. But also one thing I really liked, not one thing, multiple things I saw throughout the game. He's trying to assimilate himself in the team as both a leader and as a man, as a teammate. So he picked up Herbert after he got hit right on the sideline. He was about the fifth or sixth nearest guy to Herbert, but he ran to get there first to pick him up. I like that. It's a little thing. And then with Gadsden, there was one point where Gadsden completely missed the block. Herbert gets hit. You can see Gadsden's like in his head again, hitting his helmet. Bobby Hart just puts an arm around him and just says like puts an arm out, just saying like you should have had him, but we got it. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. So Pipkins is well liked, but I've never seen him as a leader. I don't know about you.
No. I've thought, and you've echoed this before in our group chat, and I find it very true that there are some guys that, seem to get injured a lot. And he kind of strikes me as one of those guys, one of those games that not like it's tough because he's played through injuries, but there's also a little bit of, I don't know, it seems like it could be a little embellishment from time to time.
Injuries find him, is what I say. Like, like most players, you go to the sideline after a long drive, you're hurting. You are. You don't go to the big team.
Yeah.
Yeah. He I don't know whether he likes the trainer or something like that. I mean, Kyle is my lawyer, so he will have to defend me on this. In case that's defamation, we'll have to get Al involved. By the way, speaking of protection, Bozeman, I thought he played pretty well in the run game. I know it was like really, him in pass protection, a couple of, oh no, like little freeze frame moments from like a really bad 1970s film. But in the run blocking, I felt like he actually did his job. What I quite liked is he was quick to disengage. He hit, moved up, got to the next guy, and he was sort of getting some turn and some hinge into those blocks, and enough to, little Vidal to squeeze through. So it's an improvement. And I just, to take all the flack he does, even like, his own coach is starting to slightly throw him under the bus in press conferences, I kind of liked it. And in contrast to that, I have to say, I actually thought Zion had his worst run blocking game of the season. I don't think he quite fit the splice action. He doesn't want to down block. He wants to hit up. He wants to pull, and I don't think he quite got his bearings there. So little bad note in there, but it wasn't super disastrous because obviously look at the ground game we had.
Well, just to let you know, Rye, you're giving Bozeman some love, which I appreciate. You're being fair and balanced, but he still gave up 3 pressures.
Oh, so said in pass protection, it was still horrible. hey, we have to find the wins where we can find them.
What I think should be pointed out in this, if we're correct, and Trey Pipkins has potentially lost his job to Bobby Hart, whether it's temporary or not, is the thought that the coaching staff is quicker to give a new right tackle a try with how much money is invested in Trey Pipkins. And after they stood by him as a terrible guard last year and decided to keep and retain him as what would be seen as an elite swing tackle option, right? You're only paying a guy $6.25 or $6.75 million for 2025 to be your third tackle if you think he's an elite swing tackle. And that's what we did. And we're already moving on from him. Yet the guy that we signed to a 2-year deal, half of which was predicated on snaps. Half of his pay is based on whether or not he takes a certain amount of snaps or not. It's crazy to me that they are being stubborn about giving another center an opportunity over Bozeman, as opposed to, and while letting Bobby Hart take snaps from Trey Pipkins. It blows my mind, man. I don't understand what it's going to take for Andre James to get a chance to start a game outside of Bozeman getting injured. And Bozeman doesn't get pushed back far enough to get caught up with people, taking out his legs from behind him, like you've seen happen with, Zion pushing guys into alt or something like that. He is kind of stout. People just get around him and then he's outside the play. So I don't think he's ever going to get hurt. So
it's hard to get hurt when your feet are concrete blocks stuck in the ground. So
I don't know, Ryan, like, what do you make of that, man? Like, is that just, are we going to ever see Andre James take a snap, or
we don't know if he actually
exists, the show?
Apart from those photos that we had of him, like, he might be a figment of our
great Halloween costume.
He might be a Mandela effect. We just all imagine he's there somehow, like a Fruit of the Loom logo. But
Shazam James.
I honestly don't. I don't know, and I've given up trying to know. I've given up with some coaching insights. There is a barrier you reach, and you're just going to hit your head against it over and over and over again without getting through it. Some coaches just have the guys that they think set the tone for practice, for example. Guys are trudging in a little late. Herbert is a wonderful guy and is starting to be a really cool guy. God, that guy's cool now. Would if he shouted, I think player would be like, whoa. Like, they wouldn't go like, oh shit, yeah, let's go run. With Bozeman, he might be the guy that just grabs everyone by the scruff of the neck because this is the tempo we're going to practice at. Mac's a cool, calm guy. Mm-hmm. Derwin's a happy guy. Maybe you need a scruff in the neck guy. I don't know. I've given up trying to know with Bozeman, because if you think about a year and a half ago, he was playing this badly, yeah, and we were about to go into a playoff run, and we did nothing. We did nothing at his position, and then at right guard, we brought in Sawyer for Pipkins, but again, only through injury. They were forced to make that change because they wanted to stick with Pipkins. So maybe something about the interior guys. They're willing to change the interior, but not the tackles. I don't know.
Strange. But with all that said, let's go ahead and put that game behind us. Let's move on to our player shout-outs from the game. I'm going to lead it off and give Joe Ortiz a shout-out. I'm going to cheat a little bit, because that game, as we mentioned, had a little, side story to it, a storyline to it about a team that picked up all the free agents that we wanted in the offseason. We were cursing Joe Ortiz at the time for not landing any of those guys, not just the collection, but, normally you see the players you want get sprinkled all over the field. We had all of our targets land on the Vikings, and then the Vikings showed us how humbled we should be. Like, we're going to take all of your wishes, we're going to take them for ourselves, and then we're just going to shit all over everything. And that's exactly what they did. So, Joe Ortiz, you're right. We were wrong. You're good looking. We are not. Every other little Happy Gilmore-ism to Chubbs. That's where it lands at this point. And, we'll give you a little more trust this offseason, but we do hope that you do also improve and learn, because there is still some meat on the bone for how things could have been handled. Ryan, who's your first shout out?
My first is a player I've asked in my challenges to do the one thing that he did in this game, and that's Kimani Vidal. For a little guy, I know he's not little because he's football little, right? Like, to power his way through small gaps up the A gap in between slicing linemen. That's an art form in terms of timing, bravery, and he not only that, he had fantastic contact balance through that. He spun, he's low to the ground. He makes really nice cuts at the hole when he's not having to try and be indecisive. When he's not having to go like, oh, there's nothing open here. He's clearly seeing these gaps, and it suits his style. But at the same time, he put his face in the blender and just ran. He has to be our third down back going forward, or the back where Hampton needs a change of pace. We've gone through trade options, and I still want the team to explore that, because it would be silly of them not to be pragmatic. Who is carrying the ball for this team right now. Or even like, when Hampton comes back, who's going to help him, relieve him? Jared Patterson? That's not exactly going to win us games. So, yeah, Vanal, great credit. Still hope that our first player challenge, Shohodi's, still aims forward. What about yours, man? What's your next one?
Before I give you mine, Ryan, what do you think about how his pass blocking has improved? And does that give you reason to believe he could start filling that role that Hassan Haskins had as like a blocker on special teams? And that could kind of eliminate the need for Haskins moving forward, which would then open up that third spot, if they did want to go trade for a running back.
So I really like his pass blocking, and it's a great idea to point out because not enough is being said. Like pass blocking is one thing, to attack blockers, scan, attack, hit, don't hesitate, cut, slab, square. He did it all, and it was a brilliant display. One of the best displays you'll see of pass blocking in that situation against the blitz, and we wouldn't have survived that game at the blitz rate that we did without him. That doesn't translate to special teams. Running back's a very different thing. You know where you're going. Yeah, you get like one or two reads based on who actually comes through the hole. You take off hit, you hit a leg, you can stay in square, but you've got your hands up tight. Special teams is coming from every direction, and you cannot have lightweight bodies on the field. They just get blown off. You see 6 foot. Troy Dye gets sent off of his feet multiple times a game, and he's 6'3", like 240. Like, he doesn't look at. I never understand it with Troy Dye. You look at him like, where is your weight? I don't understand it. You look like me out there, man. Although he's a lot fitter. But yeah, so that's to answer your question. But yeah, so your second player challenge.
Love it. I love it. Second one, you've already talked about him. We don't need to get too into it. But Bobby Hart, you come off the street and perform the way he has as a starter, not even a rotational guy, you're going to get a shout out. Even if you're getting help from the tight ends, if we're scheming around you, I don't care. You're in street clothes a couple weeks ago, and now you're balling out. So that tells us he was taking care of himself, while all that time before too, right? Staying in shape, which is really impressive. And
yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. Dude, you and I are at that age now, man, where we stop moving for a couple weeks and we feel it. So I don't know how a guy like that, especially that size, does it, but it's really commendable. And, I didn't think we'd be here to where we'd be on our, fifth tackle that's starting, and we're proud of how he's doing, but couldn't really say more for him. So thank you, Bobby. Keep it up. Ryan, who you got for your second?
Ray Harris. I cannot get enough of watching this guy block. And I love that. I don't know if you've watched the Chargers' latest mini movie that came out this morning for you guys. And they gave Trey quite a lot of credit and quite a lot of show. Like the players saying, like, you have done it the hard way. You've earned your way. So in case anyone hasn't read my article on StormCloud, he was on the field for 42 snaps. They ran on 31 of those. Yeah, and he blocked his tail off. I love this new look that we're doing. So we have trips bunch to this side, ISO to the other side. Either he'll be the ISO player and he'll run in and block and they'll all block, or he'll be one of these players and he'll insert into the opposite side, the weak side, into the C gap, and he's running with power, confidence. He's not even hitting clean yet, which is even better. Like, it means that he's got room to grow. He's lead blocking for Vidal through those. And this is just not who he was at Ole Miss. There is no sign of this blocker in there. In fact, if anyone doesn't know the air raid system at Ole Miss, it's clap, throw, like clap, read, throw, or clap, read, run up the other side. No, wide receivers don't block. They're taught to run off blocks, to run off the corner, to go take him out of the play. It's insane that they're like, again, Hortiz sees things that we don't see. I always take it back to Elijah Molden. Nobody gives him the credit that he deserves to see a slot-only corner and say, that's my new free safety. I don't even know how you compute that in your head because he's never played free safety. Anyway, so I've said that so many times on this pod, I just can't get over it. But it's the same thing here with Trey Harris. He's gone, yeah, that guy's going to be my blocking wide receiver that's going to grow into the QJ role, as I've mentioned, which is another take for another day, but I think maybe it could be, yeah. See if we can get a comp pick, Kyle. What about
Never know.
You got a number 3?
Yeah, man, my Notre Dame buddy. Since I lost Alohi, I got to make good buds with Cam Hart. Had his best game of the season by far. Yeah, he added a pressure, which is cool. We got his little blitz that we saw earlier that I think you broke down in your Ghost Slide video that he was used in that at one point. I didn't see if his pressure came off a Ghost Slide again. Did it?
It was a fire zone, but it wasn't. I don't think it was Ghost Slide. I don't think I've seen that since. No.
Gotcha. But he got to the quarterback, put a hit on him, and he had 2 stops. He was targeted, what was it? I think he was targeted 5 times, only allowed 2 catches for 12 yards. That's a perfect day.
To put that in context as well, yes, they were heating up the front, but that is against Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Him and St. Jude's played really well. So, yeah.
So I got nothing but love for Cam. I really, really want to see him continue to grow, Ryan. He's a guy that I liked coming into the draft when they picked him up. He was a guy that I thought would be a plug and play starter day one. I didn't think he was going to be a top tier guy, but I thought he'd be somebody that could be a, CB2, CB3. And we have this interesting dynamic with him and Still as 2 guys that were in the 5th round, drafted out of the 5th round. Don't have that draft pedigree that you often look for at cornerback, but I love it personally. 2 guys that have a lot to prove, chips on their shoulder, and they're both balling out. So hopefully we can see Cam continue to grow, because I think he's a tone setter in our secondary, and I really enjoy having that. What do you think? Who you got for your 3rd player shout out?
This was just audible and go with Justin Aboybe. I posted a couple of clips on Twitter. His work in the pass rush game is getting to the point where he has to be on the field on 3rd down. Yeah. Because he is running the however you call it, the spiker, the stunter, the slasher, whatever you want to call it. He's taking out multiple guys so that someone can loop around him, but not just that, he's bouncing off of them, splitting that double team and getting to the other side of the quarterback, so that when Owe or Thule or Mac goes around that on the looper all the way around, so that one goes in, the other one goes around, he's bouncing off of them so he contains the quarterback, and between them they get the sack, and he's playing like an animal. And then his speed on special teams is insane. The move at this he put on, by the way, he put on, was it 20 pounds of weight this summer, and he looks faster. That's crazy. Man, I'll tell you what, if Ben Herbert wants to redeem himself for some of his shortcomings in terms of keeping players, making them tougher to break, just go put on Justin Aboybe sprinting tape and just say he's put on 20 pounds and he's still doing that. And yeah, he can hit too on those special teams. He put on some licks. So yeah, I want to give him his dues there, especially, I have to say, run game. I don't want him on the field too often. He gets blown off double teams, but it looks like the Vikings can do that on their zone blocks anyway. So yeah, game's dependent a little bit, but yeah.
What do you think about him moving forward, Ryan? Is he somebody that could be a guy that by year 3 is more of a well-rounded player that just took some time to develop because he was a bit undersized? Or do you just see him as a situational guy just through and through?
Right now, with the strength of our roster, I'd like him to push to be a specialist, because if he is that 3 down guy, then how do you work with Tart, Caldwell, him? And, how does he work with special teams? So, which he's really found a role for. So right now, I think he suits the team as someone who could put all of their eggs in one basket. It's not to say he can't improve against the run, and he's going to have to, because he can't just be on the field going, here you go, 3rd down. There's hurry-up situations. There's other situations. You're going to get caught out, 2nd and long. Is that a pass situation? Do you keep your run guys on the field? You don't want to have to be thinking, is he that specialist that we can't take him off like Morgan Fox? I think he can, be a more well-rounded Morgan Fox, that he's not trapped, but at the same time, you're still not going to put him on the field on 1st down.
Yeah, I like it. Well, okay, let's move over to our Titans preview, and we've ran a little long, so I need to speed through this a little bit. But sorry,
we got good
off camera. Yeah, off camera, Ryan and I had some work calls come in, and that's my fault. But let's talk about the Titans. I know going into this, you didn't even really want to break down the team too much because it's such a disaster. I mean, they're in the worst possible scenario right now in my mind. They had a first overall pick because they were the worst team in football last year. They drafted a quarterback and within a few games have fired their head coach. So now they're going to have to go out and find a head coach that they're going to have to, hire around Cam Ward. And it's kind of like what happened with Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson. It's like, is that quarterback going to be his guy? That's a tough situation to be in. Or, to flip it around a little bit, kind of like when Cliff Kingsbury went to the Cardinals and already had a first round quarterback that had just played his rookie year. And right away, they offloaded him and he went and got his guy, Kyler Murray. So it puts them in a very interesting predicament moving forward. And to make matters worse, they have an amazing tank commander. So that's good for them. The visor wearing, stare running, mind numbing former Chargers head coach, Mike McCoy, is their sacrificial lamb to this tanking slaughter that will be taking place in Nashville. So pretty rough go in Nashville right now, Ryan. What do you got?
I mean, when you go through this team and you try and think about, okay, like, could they do this? Could they do this? It starts and ends with Cam Ward for me. It's 3 weeks, it's not that many weeks into the season. We're 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, and you watch their tape, they've given up. Their injury report tells you they've given up. The coaching staff, someone told me something recently, and it's really stuck with me, that it's in football, when your head coach gets fired, it's the one sport for sure. Your one job, you're going to be fired in a few months' time. It's guaranteed. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as a coaching staff that stays on. Maybe Ryan Ficken was the exception to that rule because he was doing such a good job on special teams. But all your assistant coaches are going. All your most of your front office staff are going to be going when the GM's gone. So all of these guys are so distracted. They're going to be thinking, okay, I have to do this. I have to be in contact with these people so that I can try and get a job here. But I still have to show this, and this. So there's so many distractions on top of being terrible already. I usually feel sorry for teams, but the Titans have really put themselves in this hole. The person I do feel sorry for is Cam Ward, because not only is he the least talked about number one overall pick that I've ever seen, but he's such a good dude from all accounts, and also just his stories are made. He was a 0-star recruit. Do you know how bad you have to be a 0-star recruit? Not even a 1. And he fought tooth and nail.
I'd like to think I'm like a half star at least.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like we're
at 35.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're like Vince Papale. Anyway, so yeah, he's fought tooth and nail. Washington State onto Miami. And by the way, when people look at Miami, they go, "Oh, Miami, big team. He did really well." His season was a 10-win season. Yeah, they've had one other 10-win season in 2017 since those early 2000s Big East monster hurricane teams that still have the record for the amount of players that went into the NFL. So he took a team like the Miami team who had just had perennial non-success with players that were not drafted with him or were drafted and haven't had success other than the Seahawks, Elijah Arroyo. I think he's the only one of his weapons that actually has gone into the league. And yet he took them to 10 wins. So he deserves so much credit, but yeah, I don't know, he just didn't get anything. It's bizarre to me.
Yeah, it was weird going into the draft. Normally you have a year of a guy being like, this quarterback is going to be the number one quarterback. His senior year, you're like, he's on Heisman watch, he's on this or that. And Cam Ward totally snuck by everybody. And it really wasn't guaranteed he was going to be the Titans pick to begin with. They had Will Levis, thought that they might try to just build around him potentially because no one really knew if Cam Ward was worth that number one pick. And then they went and did it. And so far, you can't even really grade the guy because the team looks so bad. And part of that is Callahan. So do you want to break that down, Ryan, or do you want to just get into the opportunity that is?
The only thing I was going to say about him is just Mike McCoy is doing what he does best, and just that he's trying to make it boring. So under Callahan, they were trying to be a little bit complex, a little bit cute. They had some trick plays. They were playing 80% play action, 27% motion, only a 7% check down rate. and an A dot of 9.5, but he wasn't even throwing deep. It was like all intermediate throws, all difficult throws, all into the crowded zones. And Mike McCoy, since he's come in, has just basically said, like, F that, we're going to go 38% motion to give you the tells that you need for to get man or zone, 20% check down rate, and 11% deep rate with an A dot of 7.7. So it's basically he's just going like, if you see it deep, try it. You got a great arm, hit it. If not, check it down. We'll move on to the next play. Like it's boring, but at least it's going to give him some stability, and we just need to be prepared for that. Especially as Minter's going to play a lot of quarters because he's going to play safe in this game. Because why wouldn't you? So just need to be able to tackle and rally because Tajay Spears is pretty good in space. Tony Pollard's pretty good in space. They got Chimera DK, the guy out of Florida, who's looking good. I really liked his tape, but I got to it so late, so I didn't write anything about him. But yeah, he's gonna challenge our deep zones. I don't really like Kellick, AOMNL. God, I hope I said that right now. But I don't really. Beyond that, I'm not really gonna break him down. Like I said, if they've given up, we might as well give up.
And speaking of them giving up, it's pretty much out there that they are shopping their players. So while we are in this, I wouldn't say win now mode, Ryan, like we have a chance to push this season. You and I have talked that we think 2026 is the real goal. So they're probably not going to want to give up too many future assets. But if you were to go on a little shopping spree and use this as our preview of potential fits for us, what players would you want to target? And I'll go ahead and start. I'm going to say Jeffrey Simmons. He's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. This is the obvious one. He's got 5 sacks, 18 run stops, 27 pressures, and a 20% pass rush win rate.
20%? That's like Aaron Donald numbers. My goodness. So
4% higher than any other DT. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, God. My first candidate is going to be Peter Skronsky. He signs left guard. He's ranked at top in everything. Some people have him as an all-pro mid-season. He's 6'4", 315, so he's big, powerful, low to the ground, but also he's really technical. He has a really nice snatch trap move. So, I'm sure we can figure it out. You just sign good players, you can just move them about. Zion's played right guard before, he can go about there.
Chiga Okonkwo could be an option. His blocking grades are good, especially in pass protection, which is pretty important when you have somebody like, even though we're hyping him up, Bobby Hart on the right-hand side, that you are trying to give some help to. That'd be great. And his run blocking isn't bad, which is surprising given that, initially they were saying he'd be too small to be kind of that inline guy. He's also in the last year of his rookie deal. And that's when this staff really likes trading for players, is to give them that half a year or 1 year test and then decide if they want to re-sign them moving forward, extending them. What would you think about him, man?
Yeah, I mean, he was a mid to late round pick. I can't remember exactly coming out of Maryland. So last year of his rookie contract there, that's like pennies. So he's so explosive, and also he can be a fullback type. Like it's what he played a lot at Maryland as a Terp. He was moving all over the place. So he could even move Matlock, who by the way had a slightly better game. So fair play, Matlock. But yeah, I mean, to get a chance for a guy as explosive as Chig, yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
Love it, man. Well, let's move into our player challenges real quick. We'll speed through these and then take it off till next time. But I'd like to start our player challenges with Nico Reed. There's so many injuries among the DBs, and you pointed out to me off camera, Ryan, that, Derwin should be back. Maybe slot is already filled, but I'd like to see him somehow find his way on the field and have an opportunity to have a day. The safeties are, they're Derwin's a little banged up. We've got is Tony Jefferson hurt too?
Yeah, he didn't even.
Yeah, Tony Jefferson's hurt. So it's opportunity for Reed to show some of the playmaking ability we saw in preseason. Mm-hmm. Who do you have, man? Who's your first player challenge?
I'm not even going to talk about the guy that this is actually a problem about, but I want to challenge Foster Sarrell because you can earn a starting job right now with how unreliable Becton is. That guy just can't be trusted anymore. He can't finish practice. He's got 100 different injuries, illnesses. He's not even considered as an asset to me anymore. So why don't you try and earn that job, man? That's my challenge to you.
Yeah. He has fallen off so hard, man. It's so disappointing.
It's up here.
I think my second player challenge is going to be Zion Johnson, because You mentioned him having a little bit of a step back last game. It's like, Zion, this is your 4th year, man, and you're going into your contract year. Chargers want to know if you're going to be a foundational piece for them. And if you're not, what can we get for you if you decide to sign elsewhere? Like I said before, I don't think we're going to get any comp picks regardless, so I do think they try to bring him back. But we really need to see him take some leaps. I want to know that when we upgrade that center position, that our line's going to be very near complete. Which I think if we have 4 of the 5 spots locked down, we'll figure out the right guard position. I won't be as stressed about that anymore. Who's your second shout out, Ryan? Or sorry, your second challenge?
So for me, it's Herbert, and this isn't like you got to do more, man. He was incredible, like incredible. Like Andy, my boy, like I don't know from a TDU pod said like he could have been better. I'm like, where? Because that was a lights out performance. Even the picks weren't the pick wasn't his fault. I like that he's trying. This is what I'm saying. I like that he's trying more, pushing more. He's going out of his robot brain and he's going into his like Superman brain. I love it. But I'm giving him a challenge here because he's gone on stretches like this before where he's looked like the best player in the league or up there with the best players in the league. And then he just goes, you know what? We're going against an easier opponent. I'm just going to go like genuinely, every time we played the Titans, he's got like 200 yards. And most of those teams were like very Vrabel-led tough teams. And he's taken the foot off the gas because we've shut them down on offense. Levis, Tannehill, whoever you want. We've always done historically well against them on that side of the ball. So Herbert's gone, you know what, I'm just going to take the options. I'm not going to run the ball. I'm just going to throw it away, live for another drive. I don't want to see that. I want to see pedal to the metal again. Mm-hmm. Use your feet. Carry on. Take more command of the line. Audible. If you get it, I love it. That's a good opportunity for it. Audible the hell out of everything. Change as much as you like. Try it because we're likely going to walk away with the W in this game. So, yeah. Although I just said W like an Englishman. Dub. It's dub, baby. Yeah, let's end there before I say any more impressions.
That's all right. But guys, thank you so much for joining us again. We'll be back next week. It'll be my last one before my wife and I will be in the hospital delivering our second daughter. So I'll still be around. I'll still be writing, but I might be on a little bit of a break in the meantime. But enjoy the game, guys. We'll see you on the other side.
I'll have something for you guys, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Ryan will have something. Ryan's going to keep going. We're not disappearing, but I might be just absent for a brief stretch. But enjoy the game. Bolt up, and we'll see you soon. I'm not going to
see you later.
All right, later,
guys.